My name is Matt Aubrey, and I am here in the studio with Stephanie Benvenuto. Want to throw it over to you, Stephanie, with our legislative team here. Stephanie, take it away.
Well, thank you, Matt. It's nice to have you here. I'm very excited for today's discussion. We've got two great voices in the housing space, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to them. Alex and Manny, why don't you guys introduce yourselves first? And thank you for being here.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. Alex Barachini with Ryan Company's development manager. And Manny, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thanks. Manny Rodriguez, and I'm the president of the YIMBY Democrats of San Diego County. YIMBY meaning yes in my backyard.
Let's jump right in. Manny, like just maybe some helpful background. What has your path to becoming chair of YIMBY Dems looked like? Have you always been interested in housing and advocacy, or was there a moment or an item that really pulled you into it?
Yeah, so it goes back to my childhood. So I'm from Chula Vista, South Bay San Diego County, and I grew up with my mom and two other brothers. And my mom worked two jobs, and she was always struggling to make ends meet on the housing space. We even lived in Tijuana for several years because it was cheaper than affording a one bedroom. So from a young age, I was like, how is it that someone can work two jobs and barely afford a one bedroom for herself and her three kids? And then
Yeah.
on top of that, when I went to SDSU, I lived off campus, like in the college area, and I was paying an arm and a leg to live nearby. And I was like, I'm just like a 19-year-old who wants to go to school. Why am I having to pay and go into serious debt just to have a roof over my head? So that kind of got my gears turning. Like my life experiences, you know, really had me upset, thinking this is ridiculous. It's really hurting, not just people like families like mine that I grew up, but also the local economy. I couldn't spend as much or eat out or go to, restaurants or go to places. And I'm like, so many people are spending their income on housing. So I wanted to do something about it. And after college, I was just researching online and I was looking for specifically solutions, right? There's a lot of people out there who want to point fingers at entities or stakeholders, but I just wanted solutions. And the movement that had the solutions was the Yes in My Backyard YIMBY movement. They had solutions, they had hope, and they had optimism. And I was immediately attracted to that movement for
Mm.
housing affordability. And shout out to Circulate San Diego. Their mixers got me introduced with a lot of people
Oh,
in the
cool.
space.
Yeah.
And I got to discover the YIMBY Democrats here locally. And after a while, ran for vice president and then ran for president. So
Yeah.
that is my path to the presidency. I just wanted to advance logical, sensible solutions to bring down the cost of housing.
Yeah, well, I applaud you for being solutions oriented in a world where people just like to point out problems. So
Hmm.
coming to the table with solutions is awesome. So that's pretty cool. I'm also a local San Diego native, so I mean I've seen a lot of people have to move out for jobs or just, the cost of living is too great or they just can't be where they want to be in San Diego. And I echo that as well. I think, it's tough to have a growing city when you don't have a base that can live and work in the city that you want them to be in. So
100%.
yeah.
Like I'm all, my friends that I grew up with in Chula Vista, I'm in for context. I'm 26, so all my friends are so young, but most of them either moved out or live with their parents. And
Yeah.
there's some that have like found a partner and moved into like a studio. But,
Yeah.
most of them are unable to, like, leave, like, Chula Vista and, like, go to an apartment that they can afford, and they went to college, they did the things that they needed to do
Hmm.
to have a home, but, many of them are just like, "I'm gonna go to the Pacific Northwest, I'm gonna go to
Yeah.
Arizona, I'm gonna go to all these other places because it's more affordable." Like,
Sure.
I can work a retail job in those places and afford a nice apartment, you
Yeah.
know?
The dream is still alive in those places. In San Diego, it's a little tougher right now. So yeah.
Oh,
Well, so maybe for people who are not too familiar, who makes up the YIMBY Dems group? Who comes into it? Is it open to everyone? Are you seeing younger members? Is it a mix of folks? Who makes up YIMBY Dems?
yeah, it's a mix of folks, mostly, though, younger, so 35 and younger is like a big chunk of our crowd. But if you go to our general meetings, then you'll see seniors in there as well. So good mix on the age-wise. Demographically, got a mix of backgrounds. We got everybody from like attorneys to people fresh out of college, and we have also got people from different ethnicities. You know, Hispanic like myself, white, Indian, and a lot more. So very nice mix of people,
Yeah.
and we're mostly concentrated in the urban neighborhoods, specifically around Balboa Park. And that's like the city part of San Diego, where it's like the
Hmm.
most walkable. And so a lot of the folks who are part of the movement love city life. They love the vibrancy and they want to grow to that and make it more accessible to people.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of our membership comes from. People who just want to make vibrant city life, dream that everyone can afford.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, the growth in Hillcrest and Bankers Hill and North Park,
Mhm.
and even going east down into Normal Heights, and it's been pretty awesome to watch. There's a lot of great activity going on there, and it really is starting to feel like a bit more of a mature city area
Mhm.
there, with a lot of great restaurants and
Oh,
nightlife.
yeah.
So I do have a question that's not on this script for you that I'd like to ask. Oh, yeah.
Are you ready, Manny?
I'm ready.
You
Okay.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
This
Here
is
we go.
are you guys how does YIMBY Dems get involved with the different planning groups in those areas? Or how do you guys interact with them, or do you
They
not?
wage tiny wars against them.
Is that
Yeah, so before my time, the involvement just depends on who's in the membership.
Sure.
A lot of my members right now currently serve on planning groups. I was the chair of the downtown planning group for a few years.
Oh,
I started late last year, and my secretary now is a North Park planning group member, and several folks in our audience are also members of several planning groups. But in the past, our membership has like specifically for Uptown and Bakersfield, like have mobilized people, and for North Park as well to bring people out. A lot of our members led an effort called Vibrant Uptown to reform the planning group for Uptown, which is Bankers Hill,
yeah.
Hillcrest, Mission Hills, um, Middletown, and part of University Heights.
Hmm.
And that the way that planning group was structured previously was that it was like all at-large elections, and Mission Hills was the most well-organized neighborhood out of all those neighborhoods, and they would just get their slate in every single
Mm,
time, and that slate wouldn't be representative of like Bankers Hill or Hillcrest folks who are more pro-growth, but the planning group was like very conservative because it was like driven by Mission Hills, and so a
interesting.
lot of our members formed a vibrant Uptown, and they petitioned the city to like reform the planning group, and they were successful. The city council voted to reform the planning group
Wow.
and have like districts like Bankers Hill has its own seats, Mission Hill has its own seats, Hillcrest, and so on.
Yeah.
And that way, that Mission Hills is not outvoting the
One
rest of
group
them.
doesn't get a control outside of it. Yeah.
Exactly. So we've had a lot of experiences. Our members and our previous administrations have had, little tiny turf wars with these planning
Well, I'm
groups.
sure. I'm sure it's bound to happen. Well, that was an interesting question. Your group, YIMBY Dems, has become one of the more consistent pro-housing voices. I know, we've talked with you guys on a few projects as well that you guys have helped support. How have you kept members engaged and motivated, especially when we all know these housing challenges aren't going away anytime soon? There's sometimes big legislative battles
Yeah,
that take time and money to fight and get some serious change.
exactly. And then the implementation
Yeah,
also takes time.
that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so 2 things keep us going. One is hope, The solution is simple, It's allow housing. It's not
And
like
the builders share a lot of that. Just
It is?
really
This
bold
industry is built on hope.
optimism.
Yeah, bold optimism. Because the solution is simple. It's not some, like, complex financing mechanism that you have
Right.
to pass to build housing. You just have to allow it. Like, it's that straightforward. So, our membership has, like, the hope and optimism, like, "Hey, we can do this." It's not a innately hard thing to do, though. It's politically hard, but not like, you know
Good distinction.
yeah, it's a politically hard thing, but that can be overcome with public education and organizing, which we're doing, and we're seeing more and more significant bills pass the legislature every year. So that's hope. The second thing keeping us going is vibrancy. So, a lot of us are city folks. We love the city. We love walking on 30th and North Park and seeing youth, outdoor dining, people hanging out. Love walking on Park Boulevard, University Heights, seeing families, kids.
Mm.
We love Third Avenue, Chula Vista, where I'm from.
Yeah.
I've seen that grow, and I love where it's going. And it's like so many more families and community being built, and energy and positivity and
Yeah.
affection that you feel walking down the streets. And our membership, lives for that. And we want that to grow. We see that as a good thing. We want that to grow to more places, and for the places that already have that to grow up to make
Yeah.
it more accessible to people.
Sure.
And it keeps us going, even after like a terrible city hall loss where something happens and they repeal something, I can always walk down 30th Street and be reminded why I'm doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. And it's also a very tangible thing when it does get built and it does get executed at that level. What would you say is the number one issue right now that's galvanizing your group the most?
Number one issue galvanizing my group the most.
Yeah. What are you guys all huddling around? Like, what's the biggest thing that everyone wants to change right now? I mean, obviously the housing crisis is a big one, but what is your group like focus on right now?
Yeah, on the policy front, we focus mostly on the state level side. That's where we see the most impactful housing policy. If I can get 50 people to make a phone call for like a community plan update or the state bill. I'm typically going to go with the state bill
Sure.
because it just has so much impact.
Yeah.
And to do that, also we, organize visits with legislators. We bring in their constituents. We meet with them, and we have the constituents explain why housing is important to them. We do lobby visits to Sacramento, and the state bills. There's no silver bullet solution to housing. It's just going to be a lot of different things, like allowing housing here, incentivizing it here. Like there's no, I mean, you could eliminate zoning altogether. That could, you know, have the effect that we want to see, but that would also have a lot of unintended consequences. So there's no silver bullet to the housing. So there's just like every year, we coordinate with our state partners and we see like, okay, what are the priority bills? And then I work here locally to say, okay, like, I'm going to make sure I have enough people to make phone calls to this legislator at this time and organize those visits and so on. So,
Sure.
So structurally, though, that brings up a different question for me because essentially you're a chapter of YIMBY, but you guys have a political affiliation. Is there a California YIMBY then that then you're a part of, or can you talk a little bit about the hierarchy of
yeah.
who you guys answer to?
Yeah, so we are independent of California YIMBY. California YIMBY is like the largest statewide YIMBY org,
Right.
and they're the one most involved. Like, and they work in Sacramento. They have a lot of staff that meet with legislators all the time,
Right.
and they do public education campaigns. We are a local independent organization. We're a political club and committee, and so we're chartered under the Democratic Party here locally, and we raise funds and spend them independently of California YIMBY. And so, but we coordinate a lot because they have the on the ground Sacramento expertise and they can tell us, hey, Manny, this legislator in your county is a flip vote. Can you meet with them and raise these points or, get some phone calls in over the next week or so. So that's where the coordination comes in. But yeah, they can't tell us what to do and we can't tell them what to do. But we do have a very collaborative relationship.
So what's the relationship we've got a bunch of builders. They're not active on their central committee, right? But so can you talk to us about your group's organization as a chaptered entity in the Democratic Party? What is the structure there?
Yeah. So good question. Democratic Party in San Diego is not very clear. It's a little bit complicated.
We won't tell anyone, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Our biggest role, I would just say, our most impactful role within the party structure is, first of all, we have a vote on what's called a caucus. The county party is broken up into caucuses, and we represent the Metro West Caucus, which is a lot of City of San Diego. And when people want the party endorsement, they have to get the caucus vote. And as a club, we have a vote on the caucus.
Gotta come through you.
And so we can organize with other clubs and other members on the caucus, try to push votes towards pro-housing candidates. That's like one of the biggest roles that we play in a Dem party.
So important.
Very, very important. And then second of all, we also have a committee that we raise and spend money, and we, talk with folks in the Democratic Party and our stakeholders, say like, hey, who needs to be uplifted? Who's a pro-housing voice that needs to be supported? So those are the two ways that, we work within the Dem party.
I know our members are always interested in who you guys are endorsing. I mean, I follow it very closely. So, but something that maybe we can highlight a little bit more going forward. Sorry, I had to intervene in there because I was like, wait a second, there's a lot of relationships here, and I actually have never known the answer to that question. So thank you.
Yeah, it's
So-
very clear.
YIMBY Dems, obviously, like we're talking about, there's a political point of view to this YIMBY movement. If someone, to our listeners who maybe they're not Democrats, but they believe in the YIMBY movement, like how can they
Where are the YIMBY
join?
Republicans?
Yeah, how can they join to be a part of this? Like, how can they add on to your coalition and be part of a broader movement to get more homes built in San Diego? Because I don't want someone to listen and say, well, that's not for me, right? This doesn't apply to me. I think we're talking about something that crosses party lines. What's the best way for other folks to get involved who believe in building more housing in this region?
Yeah, really good question, because we've had that situation, where folks they align with us on housing, but not on the other democratic issues, and that's totally understandable. They're still welcome to attend our meetings. The supporters of housing are welcome in our general meetings and our special events and our, fundraisers. So they're welcome to attend and talk to folks. When we're at those meetings, they're typically mostly just about housing and policy, right? So if you want conversations about housing, about policy, and organizing to get those things done, this is a space for you, even if you're not a Democrat. We have, some Republicans, we have some Green Party people, who show up to our meetings, and they're more than welcome to be part of it. I am also aware and, helping some folks out create a YIMBY action chapter, which would be nonpartisan here.
Oh, really?
That's affiliated with like a national YIMBY group, and so that's like a little bit different relationship there. But I've been in contacts that they want to create a nonpartisan space because I am aware there is a constituency of non-democratic YIMBYs that want to be part of something that's not democratic affiliated. So
yeah, and politics is tough for some people. They just don't want it.
Yeah, I feel like
Exactly.
there's a lot of people who may be Democrats that might just not want to be politically affiliated out there in a group or something like that, which is fine. But I really think that other YIMBY program, that'd be awesome to have that and just, get as many, people supporting it. Because I know a handful of people just obviously from YGen, but just coming out of college who, they want to work here. And then they start doing the math of like, where are they going to live? Where are they going to work? Oh, it's not that's not a reality here for them. And then that sucks because that's a lot of great, employment that the city could benefit from, the whole economy of San Diego could benefit from, and it's going elsewhere. So yeah, it would be a really interesting group.
Yeah, and I hear you not wanting to get politically involved. Like I didn't want to get involved with the party. I am a registered Democrat, but I have a very stout review of the party and the current state of affairs of like the system. But this was the only YIMBY entity available, so I was like, well, I'm going to get involved with it, and it's been a great time. But I totally understand when somebody doesn't want to get involved with the party. 'Cause that was me. This could have been just a nonpartisan YIMBY chapter, and I'd still be in it. I'd still be running it. Right? It just happens to be Democratic.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We're
Local
grateful.
politics, the one thing more controversial than your party affiliation, maybe housing.
Literally.
That's so true.
My own dad has accused me of trying to get people to live in shoeboxes. So, it is. It's like the touch point now. Like you can't talk about politics, religion, and apparently wanting people to be able to afford a home.
Yeah. Roofs,
Not
very
entertainment.
controversial.
Yeah. Steve is a great guy, but apparently not a YIMBY.
I think we should invite Steve to the next YIMBY Dems meeting.
I
What do you
think
say? Yeah.
I think not. No.
Fireworks. Awesome. Well, I got maybe a couple more questions here for you. How would you, I guess, this was a pretty good question by Stephanie there. How would you see your group's relationship with the industry, the building industry, and the other people who actually execute and build these homes that we live in? And do you think there's any opportunity to better educate decision makers on the need for building housing? How can we work to bring our goals together?
Yeah, good question. So our membership has a good amount of infill builders, and our team has good relationships with the infill builders. So it's always good to be able to hear their perspective on stuff. A lot of my members are also involved with groups like the Chamber, and they also get perspectives through there. I always welcome more connections to folks. Also, our vice president, Catherine Ferguson.
I know her well.
Yeah, part of YGen's board. She can also bring in a lot of perspectives from the BIA. And so through personal relationships, we do have we can inquire with, folks in infill or BIA or Chamber about stuff. And we've signed on to letters with the Chamber and the BIA before and the infill builders. And so that's how we have it. But I would always welcome more conversation and more ways to get involved, right? Like I want to know for an infill developer or any developer, like what policy issue is affecting your bottom line the most? And tell me because we have the capacity to do lobby bits. We have the capacity to organize for stuff, but sometimes I need to have a concrete, is there something in the municipal code that's costing you a lot of money and preventing you from building housing? Let me know and we can support something to change that, right? So I always welcome those conversations with builders.
Yeah, I'll be sure to send you the long list of items.
Please.
You're going to get an email in about 5 minutes from Alex.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely not written by ChatGPT.
It is good to highlight too that those relationships already kind of exist just through the personal network here, but we maybe are not formalizing some of those systems to the extent that we could to bolster the messaging. So that's a good takeaway from the staff side.
Yeah,
That's a really good point, Stephanie. What could we do as the BIA and YIMBY Dems and other like-minded organizations to work together more closely? I think we have a lot of momentum right now, and obviously there are a lot of headwinds that have come up, a lot of anti-housing voices now. It's been so successful that there's been this pushback, right? So what could all these groups be doing to be more integrated and more united, to have that united front in getting these decisions done?
On the policy front, I think right away is just sharing, what are those lists of items that need to be changed in the code? And I do, you know, there's a lot of probably low-hanging fruit in there, like stuff that could be changed in the annual code update that the city does every year.
Mhm.
A lot of stuff gets changed into there, and
Mhm.
you know, we could maybe advocate for stuff through there.
We have the scar tissue,
Oh, you do?
both of us to prove it, right? Well, carry on, and I'll make
Yeah,
another point.
but there's avenues in the policy front for us to push
Yeah.
things through, right? Or we can, you know, nag a council member to push something through. You know, do your job and legislate. You know, we can do that. Um, or we can also on the organizing front, you know, just stay in the loop about like, you know, maybe there's some project in Oceanside. We have some members in Oceanside that like maybe there's this controversial project because I don't know it's too tall, it's cast a shadow on someone's yard,
Ugh.
and
Mm.
but it's like near the transit station, and then you know it has all these amenities, and it's like going to be environmentally friendly. And like, well, I can communicate that to my folks in Oceanside, and you know we've done this before. I mean, for the Oceanside, with the transit center redevelopment that
Mhm.
happened recently, we organized folks to show up to the city council hearing.
Yeah.
And I'm not from Oceanside, but I went to Oceanside, met with folks, educated them on the project, and then got 10 folks to show up for the hearing and support it. So we can always do that, and if you keep us in the loop about stuff, because sometimes we're a little bit just so focused on City of San Diego, but I know BIA is also
There's
you know
just a lot happening.
a lot happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the really cool things about Alex with the YGym board is I think it's so great that as chair, Alex, you're bringing in new faces and new people to kind of formalize this energy that's out there.
Yeah.
And I always think, you know, Stephanie, we're down at these planning commission meetings or city council meetings, and we see the same faces all the time. So bringing new people in and having new energy, I think that's like a really great quality of the YGym board and working with YIMBY Dems that has really, you know, made a name for itself and been so vibrant and successful the last couple of years. I'm just really excited that there's all of this, you know, collaboration from people that maybe weren't engaged before.
Yeah. Yeah. I at one of our board meetings, you know, I went around the table. We had a lot of great people there from all different, you know, backgrounds and being in the industry. And I was surprised to see how many people had not been to a city council hearing or like a planning commission hearing, you know. I
Lucky
think,
them.
yeah, well, lucky them, yeah. But it you know, I think it can be a little nebulous to people who are maybe not like on the
Yeah.
front lines of fighting legislative battles and going to city council hearings and planning commission stuff. It can be kind of like, you know, they don't maybe understand it as much as you know, especially Stephanie might, but it's important that they go and see a city council meeting or a planning commission meeting and wherever they live. And it doesn't even have to be for a housing project.
Yeah.
Just go see how it operates, how local government operates, how decisions are made.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like you'll come away finding a couple things you didn't realize like are going on at the local level. So, it's great to get involved. It's great to understand. So that's been a big push for me is getting our YGen cohort to like go out there and go either support a project on your own or go support something that you believe in your city and just go get involved and just be in the know. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll give you one last question here. We've had a lot of questions. What advice would you give to others trying to build grassroots support for housing solutions in San Diego?
Yeah,
That's a
good
big
question.
one.
Well, first of all, I would say like meet somewhere that has beer.
Yeah.
Number one
That
thing.
has to be, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Step
great.
one.
Have fun.
Surprised you showed up today. We just have water for you. There's nothing here.
Yeah, I'm
of
very
interest.
disappointed about that, personally.
Okay, we'll fix that for next time. We'll
Yeah.
invite you back.
Yeah.
Please. But yeah, meet someone with beer and, you know, and somewhere that is like emblematic of the vision that you have. So, you know, an, you know, bright, airy brewery in a walkable part of town
Yeah.
would be better than like a, you know, a dark bar in the strip mall, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like let's meet somewhere that, you know, embodies your vision would be like the first thing, I would say. And the second thing I would say is to, you know, lead by example. You know, if you are getting people to, or asking people to show up to city council, show up to city council
Yeah.
and be there for them and help facilitate that. Cause like you said, a lot of people have never been there before. What do? Like, where do they fill in the sign-in sheet to speak?
Right.
You know, where do they sit?
Exactly.
There's a lot of angry people on that side. Are they friends? How about those people over there? Like, you know, like
Yeah.
be there to help folks, you know, so whatever you do it yourself. And also like live your values, right? Like I currently don't own a car, haven't owned a car my whole life. And I tried to keep it that way. It's a little bit harder when I got stuff like this out in the middle of no transit. But, you know, I walk, bike, and take transit to nearly everything I do. And, luckily most of my stuff is in the urban core, Balboa Park neighborhood, so it works out great. Not saying it'll work for everyone, but it works for me. And I try to live my values and, set the example for the supporters. So
Yeah,
those would be some key things I would say.
that's awesome. No, that's great advice. I think, yeah, that's something that we've seen with YGen, obviously with the beer. It helps, but yeah, just like living up to your word and just, leading by example. I think that really stuck with me. So thank you. That was really good, really nice.
Well, if I could, I mean, on the point about those council meetings and everything, you and I spend a lot of time in those rooms with angry people together. It's
Oh yeah.
for people listening. Manny is. I don't know how you do your actual job because these hearings are 8 hours sometimes, and you're stuck. And it's like, so I really want to just applaud the commitment that you and the group have. But secondarily, given how much time you're spending in those rooms with those same 20 to 50 angry people, have you started to develop any relationships with them? Because I find that now, I'm not going to name names to give credit, but some of them are so prevalent that they're starting to ask me, is the BIA going to comment on blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, we're not friends, but we're sort of now like peers. I don't want to say that. Are you finding that too?
I do, and I have actually met with many of them one-on-one, and
God.
some of them who lead certain groups, I'll even meet with them quarterly, and we'll have a chat for a few hours just to ease tensions and like try to figure out, okay, what are things that we can agree on and work together on. I'm trying to
Have
find.
you ever
And
you found one?
I have found one.
What was it?
I'd be happy to talk offline
Okay.
more about some of the stuff that we've been able to, find some agreement and move some stuff in that direction for. But, one of it comes down to like, I'm someone who sees them as members of the community. So I carry that into the city hall, and there's people who are very aggressive and will say mean things about me and the club, but then I'll meet with them and after the fact and try to build a relationship and be on a good foot. And some of them, especially some of the more ones that tend to cause a scene, will text me like at Friday 8 p.m. like, look, my kid's riding his bike and doing this, and I'm like, I just taught him how to ride it, and I'm like, wow, that's really good for you.
Kudos to you, man.
Wow.
So I also sympathize with them as organizers. Like, I know how hard it is to put people together and build a base and mobilize folks.
Yeah.
And I think we can also relate on that front, and we share like struggles about dynamics and getting people out.
They
all
don't
those
seem to
things.
struggle getting people into those seats so late.
Well, no, they're all retired and they can show up to a
Exactly.
Tuesday 2 p.m. meeting, but
Happily, yeah. We have a slightly different dynamic with, the builder's got to build stuff. Someone's got to hold that hammer. So, right, the civil engine, someone's got to go do that stuff. So it's tough to get those authentic voices. And I've had a bit of a chip on my shoulder, perhaps, because hearing your approach makes me a little embarrassed about my dislike of some of those folks' behavior, because I think I could probably rise above, but it's not about me. But I mean, bravo to you. That's a very classy, cool take, because they say awful things about you on the mic.
They do.
Like you're ruining their neighborhood and their future ability to pay for their kids something or other, because I mean, these are personal.
Oh yeah.
I sympathize with why somebody would be frightened of change in their community. I struggle when it gets to be those personal attacks on an organization or flat out untruths, which I know most of them are smart enough to know are not true.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, bravo to you.
Thanks. I don't take the attacks personally. I just keep my eye on the ball.
Of course.
Okay, I need everybody to be peaceful, because I just want this policy passed. I don't want anyone to get hurt in the process.
It can get spicy. Some of those
Oh yeah.
they get wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get you protection soon.
Yeah, security detail.
Yeah, seriously.
And that's such an important point about, I mean, I think like what Stephanie's saying, I have to applaud you, Manny, because a lot of this work, it's so easy to draw the battle lines and say, this group is the yes group, this group is no group. And that's so easy to do. But if you want to grow a coalition, you have to convince people. Yeah. And I think that's what this is about, is we want to convince people and come with an open mind and say, we all want the same goal. We want to make housing more accessible, more affordable. I think everyone would say they agree with that for the most part. And the debate is over how we get there. So I think meeting with folks is you're never going to convince someone in a planning commission hearing, right?
Mhm.
When you're up there at the podium behind the microphone, that's not the time for convincing. That's the time for winning.
Yeah.
But the time for convincing are those conversations where you're getting coffee with someone or maybe after a hearing saying, hey, let's talk about that. And I truly think that's where we probably need to do more of that, because otherwise we're just going to have these very solid battle lines and we're not going to move from that. So I think that's the right approach. I think you're onto something there.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, Alex, you were asking earlier about the planning groups, right? And to me, I also see that's where a lot of the conversations should be happening, because it's very easy for an anti-housing person to say, well, these folks from support, they're just builders, right? They don't live here like us. But what you're doing, Manny, with YIMBY Dems and encouraging people to become their local planning board is you're integrating them on the neighborhood level because they live there too. So like, I'm just curious, how is that a really important activity that you encourage your members to do to get involved at that level? If someone's listening right now and they want to learn how to get involved and make a difference in their neighborhood, like explain to them what that is like, getting engaged with your local planning group.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I focus, like, anytime I meet someone new into the movement and I bring them in, one of the first things I ask is like, oh, what neighborhood are you in? You know? So I'm trying to think about the planning group politics, like, oh, does your neighborhood have any vacant seats? Easily you can get appointed. Or are your elections competitive? You know? And if they're not, like, okay, we can help you get a seat on those boards. So I always ask that question to folks, and not just YIMBY, but there's also like a whole like urbanist movement in town, like urbanism being like the desire to see vibrant cities, and that includes orgs like YIMBY, Right SD, Bike SD, the Bike Coalition, and a lot of other groups independently outside of YIMBY. I work with a lot of those groups to, recruit people and encourage them to run for these planning groups. And, we're seeing that happen in the urban core. We got a solid YIMBY majority in downtown, in North Park, making progress. Like Uptown is like now like kind of 50-50 YIMBY NIMBY right now, which is like way better than it used to be. And, trying to make progress on all those groups and trying to bring, not like so much trying to take over the group, but just trying to bring new perspectives to like change the temperature in the room and change the discussion. And, something that I think the urbanist movement was really good at, especially the org Bike SD was working really hard on this, was like, getting people on the North Park and Uptown one. And then we saw how that paid off when those groups voted to support the San Diego Unified redevelopment, 1,500 units on Park Boulevard and El Cajon. And, a lot of NIMBYs and University Heights didn't want it, and community groups put their own coalition together. But I think it was amazing to me to see these planning groups support the highest density proposal, which was like not something that would have happened like 5 years ago. So definitely, but how do you get involved, right?
Yeah.
First of all, show up to a meeting, YIMBY Dems, Right SD meeting, any urbanist meeting. A lot of folks in there serve on planning groups, have been on planning groups, and we can talk to you one-on-one. Or also just look up your neighborhood, which planning group it is, find out what day of the month it is, go and just check it out and see like, okay, is this a group I want to be a part of? Maybe it's a bunch of old cranky folks and you have better things to do on a Tuesday night, and that's totally valid. That's totally like, it's hard to be the lone voice in some of these groups sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And that you can still make a difference. You can still give your perspective and shift a few perspectives on the group. Or you can, be the first person and then bring in more folks later on. Some of these groups didn't become YIMBY overnight. It was a concerted effort of people staying and holding the fort and bringing in more people. But you have to make that decision. Like, do I want to spend a weekday afternoon arguing with folks who have mean things to say about renters, about in the neighborhood, right? And that's a decision you have to make. Do I want to do that? But once you say yes, I'm happy to chat more. There's a lot of ways to make impact in these groups, even if you're not the chair yet.
That is very true. That is very true.
And what I love about that is, someone could maybe think a homeowner has a more important perspective than a renter. But as a renter, if you're showing up, you're saying, hey, I'm here too. And you're inserting yourself in that conversation. And suddenly it's a lot harder to otherize that person when they're sitting at the table with you.
Yeah.
Right?
It's harder to say that a renter is not a real person.
Yeah.
And
they're sitting next to you.
They have eyeballs and hands and they're right there.
Sometimes they get to be like echo chambers a little bit, of just like everyone's saying the same thing. Yeah, hey housing, hey housing, hey housing. So sometimes like you're just getting an opinion in there that, and with a logical argument, it can change a lot of minds in those meetings. And,
Mhm.
you know, because it's so different from what they're always hearing and, you know, frankly complaining about. So yeah.
And it's something I think you guys have done really well, and that we're trying to institute more in the BIA is highlighting the projects that are coming online. There's not a ton of them. San Diego's doing well compared to other cities. We know that it is good, but we should be doing more, right? But highlighting those projects that are overwhelmingly beautiful and provide real benefit to the surrounding area, past the fact that they're homes. But right, what some of these crankier groups are going to highlight is this one thing that was very tall, or this one build that was way out there. And it's like, that's not what people are producing overwhelmingly. We have expectations and standards, particularly in the San Diego region, that the output is gorgeous, right? And
Beautiful.
we're all so mad about it that you can't get past that point with them. So, you know, the demonstrating that is key. So we've been like using recently developed projects in our PowerPoints when we go before the city, and like, this is a very nice new development and it's going to house 40 people. How wonderful. Just changing that topic, right? Because we talk about the policies.
Yeah.
We scare people with big pictures, but we never get to the end part where it's like, oh, and this project contributed $3 million in fees.
It's a big part of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, there is just the benefit levels are so multi-layered and so multifaceted. And I've appreciated that you guys are good at celebrating those things. Again, back to that hope and optimism and really positive drive. I'm driven often by rage. So we have different approaches.
It's a good balance. That's why we're all around the same table here.
But I just want to highlight, you guys do a great job about keeping that in the forefront.
Thanks. And I love your idea of doing that. I would also love to see like people in those new residences being interviewed and
Yeah,
talked about. It's like, I love
totally.
this
Oh my gosh.
place. And like, me and my kids go to school here. We walk over here. We
Yeah.
go to the ice cream shop. And,
Exactly.
you know, I think we're getting to that point, especially in North Park. I feel like in North Park, like there's no more like significant organized opposition in North Park anymore, at least in my
Right.
experience.
Given up.
They've given it up, and I've canvassed in North Park for elections, and I've talked to folks, and they're like, yeah, I've accepted that the neighborhood's going to grow, and that I can't change that, you know? The opposition, the NIMBYism has peaked, per se, but now it's like, now we're seeing a new building come up, new people come in,
Yeah.
and more folks on the streets, more folks, you know, contributing to the economy, seeing more growth on 30th and more vibrancy, and I think we can celebrate that, too, to your point, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Nobody's getting a Trader Joe's without more housing. And
Yeah.
people get Trader Joe's, they get
Yeah.
very excited. The same angry people on next door, I can't believe they're building something in their backyard. Did you guys hear about the Trader Joe's that's coming in, maybe? And it's like, guys.
Is Trader Joe's low-key YIMBY? I think they're secretly YIMBY. They love the new housing.
Maybe we
Yeah.
could ask them.
They need some housing to get the Trader Joe's
They're
in.
definitely pro-transit with those parking spot sizes.
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh. I was about to say, yeah, they need to fire whoever's designing those parking lots.
I'm sure there's a member we have somewhere who can do
Yeah,
it.
it's like, that's definitely not me.
Manny is not affected by that. Manny,
No,
you got it down, man. No car. You're showing up. You're just walking right in
Welcome
to the
right
Trader
in.
Joe's.
They could use some more bike racks, but
Okay, all right. Well, we have a lot of ideas for Trader Joe's. Sorry, we totally deviated. You said last question, and then
No,
Matt
this
and I
is
were like,
great,
but
yeah.
wait, there's more.
No.
I don't know.
I think if you're listening and we're talking about building community, and it's not about, sitting at home or listening to this and saying, well, I wish my community was different. We're talking about how you get engaged to build a community. So if you want to build your community in a way that is different or evolving to meet your needs, you got to show up. You got to go to these planning group meetings. Consider joining. If you don't want to join, get one of your friends to join, a family member to join. And if you don't know where to start, go talk to Alex at the YGym board. Go talk to Manny and consider going to a YIMBY Dems meeting. You both have resources that can direct people. It's kind of overwhelming. It can be scary to show up into a room where you don't know anyone, but both of you can direct people to where they want to go if they get more involved. So I think that's a great resource for people to be aware of.
The hardest part is taking the first step.
Definitely.
It's intimidating.
You know, it is, but you'll quickly realize, and I'm sure it's the same with YIMBY Dems. You meet one person in YGen or BIA, and it's like, oh my gosh, that person was amazing. They introduce you to another person. That person's amazing. And the next thing you know, you just have this cohort of people that you're always showing up to events, supporting stuff. You know, it's an awesome community, as you said,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And if you end up in a public hearing, there's a good chance Manny and I will be there, and we'll be your friends. So,
yeah, you can sit next to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, we'll do our best to just keep you safe. That's maybe the new goal. You sit in the middle.
Step fast snacks.
I do usually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
usually do bring snacks. I'm no sucker fool. I don't show up prepared.
You need like a protein boost, little carb action.
It's
You know,
very
go find
cold.
Manny and
It's
Steph.
very cold in council chambers in the city of San Diego. Always, the chairs are poorly designed, so your back's gonna hurt. But we can set you up with a pillow.
No flask.
Yes.
I will plead the fifth on whether or not that's so they get really long.
Sometimes I feel like, I need popcorn and like a beer or something to watch some of these city council meetings.
Seriously,
We should do packing tips.
beer at
That's
council might be like just do a movement where everyone's sneaking something in. Like, why does it smell so weird in here?
Well,
Some
you're
of
either
the
smelling that or asbestos.
Some of the
you
council members
choose.
would probably be pretty stoked if we were texting them, like, actually, this is a low-key event we're doing right now. You don't even know.
You do like a game watch for like the televised ones, like just get everyone in a room watching it. Although you want them there, but
We do that in our office, but then we could deploy them. But you know what? I think we got a lot of really good event ideas coming. So that was helpful. But you know, thank you, Alex, for hosting. And I know that you have a closing line, so I'll let you go ahead and give that.
Oh, I do. Well, yeah, Manny, thank you for coming in today and talking. I think it's actually incredible hearing your story and what you've built at YIMBY Dems and along with everyone else there. So really appreciate you sharing your perspective and your time with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. It's been a pleasure to chat with y'all today, and looking forward to the next one. Matt, the beer better be here.
All right. We'll come packing next time.
Next time we will for sure have that. Okay, we have one fun question we ask everybody before they go.
Yeah.
So you can pick which question you want to answer. I'll give you the two options.
Okay.
The first is, what is your current favorite Netflix series? And the second question is, if you could live anywhere for a year, where would it be?
Ooh, anywhere for a year. I'll go for anywhere for a
Okay,
year.
yeah, let's do it.
So right now I would have to pick. I would say San Francisco, like pre-tech era.
Okay.
Oh, we're doing time travel
Very
too.
cool.
Oh, wow, I love it.
Sweet.
There were no boundaries on this, no
Yeah.
constraints.
Yeah, he said he's optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I was very attracted to the city. I love the city so much. I mean, I love the tech world a lot, and I love the optimism and the drive that folks have there. But I read about the counterculture that SF had. That was the prevalent culture of the time. Now tech is the prevalent culture of the time, and also incredibly expensive because San Francisco built like damn near zero housing. So now the tech workers are outbidding everyone.
Yeah.
Which is not their fault. Like they need to go there for work, right? And so
Right.
so affordable San Francisco pre-tech, where like the counterculture was something that I was fascinated as a youth, or as a younger kid. So I was like, that would be where I would live. You know, be able to have like live in a nice multifamily Victorian, and skateboard around the hills, be a little dirt rag, skateboard around all the time.
That's cool.
Hang out indoors, park, with hippies.
Yeah, for sure.
So that would be where I would live for a year. And I almost did that. Before I moved to downtown several years ago, I was going to move to OB. I was like, I'm gonna move to OB. I'm going to get a job in biotech. My undergrad was in physics, and I worked in labs.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm gonna go work at a biotech lab, go to OB, and be a vegetable in OB. And then I got involved with safe routes to school advocacy, and then everything snowballed, and now I'm like running YIMBY Dems and doing all these things. But the goal originally was to live a laid back, life in like a coastal hippie vibe, and that will always be there. Hopefully, OB will always be there. But right now I got sucked in and driven into trying to make San Diego more affordable. So long-winded way of answering your question.
Thanks for taking the detour. Well, with that, it's your closing line, Matt.
Oh, with that, it's my closing line. Well, thank you. Thank you, Manny.
Just here to keep
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Stephanie. I want to give a special shout out to Shannon, who is always our podcast star. Thanks again to all of you for being here and all of our listeners. And don't forget, please like, subscribe. We are on YouTube. This is a video podcast now. So if you are listening, make sure to go to YouTube at BIA San Diego. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Woo.